that letter, but like, what if he hadn't written that letter? Like, she's just like a missing. She was like never gonna be really found, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this other lady too.
They're not gonna look for her because they think it's this other lady.
Yeah, so it's just like all these lost people, and like, I don't know. So that kind of like, like made me a little sad. More on like on like the real life side of it, but yeah, I thought that was interesting how easily he was just able to get away with it, but he still didn't let it. He didn't let like the world get it. He didn't let the world let him get away with it because he's the guilt, you know. So yeah, I just thought that was cool that he wrote it out.
I agree. Questions? Any more questions?
Did you have a favorite part of the movie? What was your favorite part? Any all three of you questions?
I'm going to be morbid right now and say the kill scene.
Whoa.
Because it's so, it feels so real and sloppy and you know, like it was almost like she put up more of a fight than they both thought. Mm-hmm. And they, you know, he has to slash her a good few times. I don't know if the blade wasn't sharp enough or something, but it takes a few times, and they really do show you everything, and and then the aftermath of them having to scrub, which had to be, you know, hours into the night.
Mm-hmm. It's in the morning when he looks up, when the sun looks up, there's light, and he's like, I don't want to go to school. So it takes them all night.
Yeah, I thought that was wild, and it really makes you not want to watch. It's like this is like like one of those feel bad horror films that you're probably not gonna sit down and want to watch this all the time. But at the same time, I think that it's impressive when a movie can move you like that, I guess. This one I would have to compare to... Have you guys seen The Witch?
Mm-mm. I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, anyway, I love that movie, and I feel like it's kind of a slow burn like this one, and it plays on atmosphere, and, you know, the soundtrack very much like this one is, like, the soundtrack is its own character, you know what I mean? It really drives the movie, and I feel like they depend on the music for this one, even, like, through the very beginning, before anything happens, or they even start to set up what would be the murder. You can tell that there's something like looming, coming, you know what I mean, very, very soon, and I really like that direction. I feel like Annie's the only one asking.
Did you
have a favorite part?
Well, you guys didn't answer. So I'm answering my own question here, but that's okay. My favorite part it's like more, I don't know, not silly, but like just a little outrageous that they like think this is a good idea to like put a cow down there, you know? I was like, what? Like, how is... Okay, yeah, a cow's huge, but, like, isn't it gonna smell still? I just had so many questions about, like, the smell. I was like, oh, I don't know if the smell's gonna improve after this. But I think that would have to be my favorite scene, because it kind of just shows, like, okay, yeah, you already did this, like, crazy thing, you committed a crime, and you're still being, like, outrageous and very impulsive, and, like, the lanes that he'll go to, like, cover this up, aside from, like, the lies and, like, you know, like, telling his son, like, all this, like, hey, you won't see your girlfriend, like, or you gotta do this. I mean, aside from all that, he still has to do these, like, ridiculous things, and it just kind of, like, shows you, like, how much he really did hate her, but, like, you know, soon after that, like, you realize, like, he realizes, like, whoa, like, maybe I didn't have to hate her that much. He realizes it so fast. That's what's trippy. It doesn't take him, like, years and years. Like, by the end of 1922, he's, like, fuck, I fucked up. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But the cow scene, not the second cow scene, the first cow scene.
I liked where the wife was whispering to him everything that was happening to the son, and he kind of visually saw everything play out with his son becoming this like criminal and the sweetheart bandits or something like that is what they were calling them, and how he kind of like, when the sheriff came and told him the news that or I guess the sheriff didn't tell him that his son was dead, but like that he knew the whole story without actually, you know, being there or having been told by anyone other than the ghost of his wife. Like, I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's one thing. How could he foreseen the future if he was just hallucinating?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it had to have been a real haunting. And that was a cool scene too, where he was the very last scene where all three of them were dead and they were looking all like decomposing and like don't worry, Dad, it's gonna be quick or whatever it was. So I thought that was interesting.
Definitely. Emma?
I have a few favorite scenes, but I would think like my favorite part of the movie is where he's like, oh, my wife had to have a stash around of money, and he goes around the house looking for money, and he like finds her like hidden stashes and stuff, and I just thought it was very interesting how he really did know her. Like, he knew, like, oh, they're, you know, but what I didn't get was how he forgot her shoes under the bed, you know, like
when the sheriff came.
That was like the only part that it kind of like flew over his head, like those shoes. But I liked how he knew little spots, you know, her clothing and just things that she would do around the house, like when the boy was like, when they had to clean up the blood, he was like, oh, you know, put those suds that she keeps under the sink, put that in the water, you know, basically the soap. And he's like, oh, he does all the farm work, but he still like knows what his wife would do around the house and stuff like that. I like that. I thought it showed that he really maybe did care about her.
It wasn't just some stranger. It was this lady that, he was married to her for a number of years, and he knew how she worked and where she was.
Yeah, it's like he knew her, but at the same time, I didn't see like any love there, you know?
I think he just knew her and it played it. He knew her and he knew how to play her.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. Like, I think he was just watching her because he like knew to get her drunk, or he knew that news of him agreeing to moving would get her drunk, and then he knew like she would be like so drunk that this is the time to do it. So yeah, I think it's just a good example of like he knew her, like he'd been watching and he'd been planning. So how impulsive could this have been, you know?
Did he find money though when he was searching?
It goes back and forth. You see her hand like putting like money into the flour, and then he doesn't find any in the flour, but he finds some in her hat, and then he finds, I think, another stash, but he doesn't find the one that you originally see her putting into the flour. Because
the scene right after that, because when he's looking for the money, he's like, every time I wouldn't find the money, I was more sure that she did hide it somewhere. So it made me want to keep searching. And then the scene right after that, he's going to the loan office, so it makes me think that he didn't find the money.
He found 40. He
had
40 when
in the seam of a hat, I think.
That's right. yeah, she must not have been hiding at that
Or maybe it was in that dress that she was making, because he covered it up and didn't want anything to do with it.
That's right.
I don't know. I like that this movie just left a lot to your imagination. Like, you don't know what happened before. Like, you don't know their relationship. Like, the relationship between the son and the girlfriend, and like the neighbors. Like, they were all pretty tight. They all worked together in the farm, but you didn't see any of that. It was just like it went straight to the point, and you kind of had to fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Does anyone know anyone who's read this book?
I haven't, but it's considered a novella.
Yeah.
Which is, so it's like a short story.
Okay.
Do you guys have any more questions?
No. Do you have any swan facts?
Oh, we're moving on to swan facts. Yes, I do. Swan facts. Thomas Jane has done 3 character roles in Stephen King adaptations. Besides this one, he was in The Mist, which was a few years ago, and Dreamcatcher. Have you guys seen any of those?
I really liked The Mist. That one was good. I didn't, until you just said it, I didn't place that was the same guy, but yeah. I didn't see Dreamcatcher.
I don't know what Dreamcatcher is now.
Dreamcatcher I love. It's crazy. It has Timothy Oliphant, I think, and almost like an all-star cast. I really like that. I think it's on HBO, if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah.
And The Mist, the movie, I really didn't like it because of the ending.
Oh, really? That's what I liked about it.
I know people who really like that movie too.
I don't know. Have you seen it?
I haven't. I just know from my family members who really enjoyed it.
Did they spoil it for you?
They did.
So I can talk freely?
Yeah, you can talk freely. I haven't seen it, but I know exactly what it's about.
Okay, yeah, I was just, I just thought it was such a kind of a cop-out that he killed them so fast.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, oh, like, we ran out of gas. I guess I'm gonna fucking plug you, or whatever, you know?
Well, because he knew that, like, whatever's out there was gonna kill them, and it was gonna be way more gnarly than, like, a quick bullet to the head, so, like...
Yeah, but he literally pulls it over, and it's like...
within one motion, like... Alright, good.
Say bye, guys.
Turn off the car.
And then, you know, and then the military comes, or whatever. I feel it's just, I don't know. I guess this guy's all impulses. No, I don't know. Maybe if they maybe shot it differently or something, but it just seems so. He was like so desensitized. Like, you're just gonna shoot your son point blank range like that. I don't know.
And I also think he could have like put his head next to his son and like shared a bullet or something, like, instead of like just leaving himself alive to be
crying.
Like, yeah, like, no.
Do you think Stephen King likes this actor or at all? I mean, if he's done so much of his work?
Well, I don't know if he has really a say on the studio pictures. I think that might be coincidence, or maybe Thomas Jane really likes his work. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak on that.
Yeah, I would just be curious about what that relationship would look like.
Moving on, there are several nods to Stephen's other works. For example, the rats throughout the picture are actually from his other novel, Graveyard Shift. And the well is referencing Dolores Claiborne. And then there's other things like, like the cornfields, obviously Children of the Corn. There's everything's like coming back to other things in his books.
That's cool.
Pretty interesting.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
I think that might